Kate Simone, Chris Myers, and Grace Calio. Thank you for joining me here. I got to tell you, I was very excited when I first heard that New Canaan High School Drama was going to be able to do a musical this year. And I'll admit, even more excited that Kate was going to direct it. So let me start off by saying congratulations, Kate.
Thank you so much.
And to Chris and Grace, I would have been equally excited for you, I'm sure, but I didn't know either of you until a few days ago. So now that I know you, I can also say congratulations to both of you on joining the New Canaan High School drama team. We are really lucky, I think, to have such amazing talent with your impressive credentials, all of you, working with the students here. So Kate, I want to start by asking you a question, or pointing out something to everyone, that you grew up here in New Canaan, as did your mom. So does that make you a four-generation New Canaan family? Because that's pretty impressive.
It's close. It's close. My grandparents did not grow up here, but my mom did. I did, and now my kids are growing up here.
Well,
So
that's grandparents lived here, mom
they
lived
lived
here,
here
you
for a
lived
long
here.
time. Yeah,
That's
they
four generations.
okay.
We'll
Call
we'll
it.
count it as four, but that's even three is impressive. So you went to New Canaan High School and participated in the drama program there, which, as you know, both of my daughters were involved in, but Angela was actually there when you were. And it was always a great program over the years. Talk to me a little bit about how you first got involved in theater. Was it student stage shop or before then? How did you get involved?
From a young age, I loved movie musicals like Mary Poppins and Sound of Music. And then at some point, I want to say maybe it was like fourth or fifth grade, we found out about student stage shop over at Waveney. So I did that every summer with both of your daughters. Um, and that's really what got me started, and I just like fell head over heels for theater there, and it was all fairy tales, which is kind of a recurring theme in shows that I just end up doing. So that really holds a special place in my heart. So it all started there at the Town Players at Waveney.
Over at the Powerhouse Theater in
Yes.
Waveney Park, yeah. Well, I remember you from there, but where I really remember connecting with you first was in Once Upon a Mattress at New Canaan High School. And if memory serves me, because I know it's been a few years, you were Prince Winifred?
Princess Winifred, yes.
Princess Winifred. So Eric Beale was Prince Dauntless and Cynthia Schmidt as the Wicked Queen Agravain. Am I right?
Yes, yes.
So I just remember seeing your combination of dramatic and comic timing and thinking at that time when I saw you, you reminded me so much of Carol Burnett in many ways. You had crazy talent and natural talent and timing for such a young kid. I mean, you might have been all of 15 or 16, or tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, it was my senior year of high school, so I was probably 17. I I think they back then sort of announced what they would do the following year, the spring before. So I knew it was going to be Once Upon a Mattress, maybe the spring of my junior year. I didn't know really anything about the musical. I remember doing as much research as one could in 2004 2005 on the internet, and knew it was Carol Burnett, and then knew that Sarah Jessica Parker had done the revival. Um, and I have always considered myself a belter, and I love comedic roles, so I was really hoping that it would work in my favor and that I would get that part. And it really is like a dream part forever. Like I could wake up tomorrow and play that role again, and wake up 20 years from now and do it again.
Well, you got the bug, obviously, and worked professionally, including several productions with Summer Theater of New Canaan in plays
Yeah.
like Peter Pan,
Mhm.
Big River,
Mhm.
and of course, Legally Blonde. But what was that like?
The fact that I could, you know, spend the summers at home and audition for Summer Theater of New Canaan and perform there was amazing. And they always brought in such great both local talent and New York talent. And when we did Peter Pan, it was the national tour sets and costumes, and it was the Kathy Rigby flying effects team that came in and hoisted us up to fly in all those scenes. It was amazing, and it just was an even deeper connection into the community.
It was great work there always that they do summer after summer. And you did other work as well, right?
Yeah, I did South Pacific at the St. Louis Muni, which is the oldest outdoor theater in the country. I think it's 11,000 seats. I also did shows at Sacramento Music Circus out in California. I did a workshop of Sunset Boulevard for the Roundabout Theater Company, directed by Michael Mayer, which was pretty cool because my favorite show growing up was Thoroughly Modern Millie, and he directed that. So for me to be in a show directed by him, which was just a really cool full circle moment. And I've done shows at Music Theater of Connecticut in Norwalk. I did Gypsy there. I played Louise, which was another dream role bucket list opportunity. And yeah, and then I had some kids and I've been teaching. So it all kind of changed.
So that, yeah, you got married, started a family, and moved back to New Canaan. So coming full circle, you're directing back in the theater you started in almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And if I understand it correctly, you're the first new director in 20 years.
I think it's been that long.
It's got to be close to that. How does that all feel?
That feels, I mean, crazy. It feels amazing. It feels surreal. I am so beyond honored to be back and to be the first one after so long. The program has, since I've been there, I mean, for the past 15 years, it's just flourished. They do, I think, 3 musicals a year, a play, a drama festival. They compete in a lot of high school theatrical competitions. They win a lot of awards. Um, the production quality is so high for high school theater. So I just hope that I can keep that standard high, and that our audiences, they expect a certain level, and I hope they see it again.
Well, welcome back. Chris Myers, I want to turn to you for a second, and let's see if I've got my homework done right. You hail from Fort Worth, Texas.
I do.
Went to university a little closer to Austin at Southwestern, but then jumped very quickly into the professional world. So among a long list of impressive credits, you spent 2 years with the touring company of Mamma Mia, and for those who need to know, the musical based on the songs of ABBA, and another 3 years with the Broadway company. And you've also worked with Summer Theater of New Canaan in Kiss Me, Kate and the Stars Night, right?
I got to step on stage a few times for these Stars Nights, benefit concerts, and things like that. But much like Kate, in the last 5 years, I transitioned into starting a family and spending less time on stage, more time backstage and in the office and teaching and doing things like that.
So, and now you're leading the drama program at New Canaan High Schools. But let me stick with this for a second. Tell us a little bit about being on the road with a touring company. And by the way, I know I'm dating myself, but ABBA has always been one of my favorite groups. So I want to hear your stories. And as a matter of fact, I actually am old enough to remember when they won the Eurovision Song Contest in 1974, singing Waterloo. So, but I digress here. Tell me a little bit about what it was like being in a touring company.
Oh my goodness, it's so much fun. It's really hard work, but it's also incredibly gratifying. One of the most wonderful parts was being on tour with Mamma Mia. So it was a North American tour. We were all over the United States, but we also toured through Canada. And as big as ABBA and Mamma Mia is in America, it's about 10 times as big in Canada. So we would go to these tiny little towns, hundreds and hundreds of miles apart, and people would come to us after the show because they had driven 5 hours to see the show because it was the closest that the show had ever come to their hometown. And we were selling out ice hockey arenas because that's the kind of gravity that Mamma Mia and ABBA music brought with it. And so it's definitely the closest I've ever felt to being like a true rock star, because also at the end of the show, it just turns into a rock concert, and we do Dancing Queen and Mamma Mia and Waterloo, and everybody's on their feet and singing along. And it's amazing. I wouldn't trade it.
What was it like being on a Broadway stage for 8 performances each week?
It was really amazing. I'll never forget my first day of rehearsal, showing up. And because it was a long running show, I was stepping in to a cast that some of them had already been on stage doing this show for 8-9 years. But coming into the Winter Garden Theater through the backstage door and stepping out onto the stage, I definitely welled up, but I had to get over it pretty quick because it was a fast and furious process. I was a swing for the show. So I covered 12 different tracks in the show and basically had to pick up about 2 per day. So I had about 2 weeks to get them all under my belt. Stepped in as dance captain, which was a little awkward and fun, that I was the new kid. And then it was also my job to run rehearsals and tell people how to do the show better. But everyone was so gracious and so loving, and so many people still understood, having been there for so long, that a new cast member stepping into their first Broadway show is such a dream come true. That they were really wonderful and loving, and again, being able to carry on that Mamma Mia party. People now coming from all over the world, flying in to see the show and just have a party with us. It was awesome.
Well, we could do a whole program on being a swing and I'll bring you. I'm going to hold you. I'm going to bring you back, and I want to do a program where we just talk about that sometimes.
That'd be
it's
great.
Fascinating, and I think people would love to hear more of that behind the scenes kind of stuff. I have one more, because I can't help myself, one more bit of ABBA trivia, and for you guys, and to see who knows the answer. Benny and Bjorn also happened to write the music for one of my all-time favorite musicals.
My guess is you're talking about Chess.
Yes, I'm talking about Chess. And of the many versions, right? Because the Australian version, the British version, the American version, all different. Never could quite perfect it, but I love it nonetheless. So, well, thank you. I want to turn to Grace for a minute. Grace, welcome.
Thanks, Bob.
So, Grace, you're a Ridgefield native, close by. We won't hold that against you, that you're not from New Canaan.
Thank you.
But you literally grew up in productions at Summer Theater of New Canaan. Tell me about that.
I did. I did my first one. I did Sound of Music when I was 13 years old there. And then when I was 14, I did Peter Pan with Kate. And that's how we met at the New Canaan High School stage. So that was pretty cool. And this is amazing to get to do this with her back at New Canaan High School.
This is great. Well, you went to Boston Conservatory, graduating in 2013 with a BFA in musical theater, joined
Yes.
Actors Equity, and went on the road, as they say, to perform across the country in shows like Legally Blonde at Sacramento Music Circus, Young Frankenstein at the Muni, Beauty and the Beast, The Wizard of Oz, and The Donkey Show, directed by Diane Paulus, no less, at the American Rep. Tell us a little bit about all those experiences.
I mean, it's amazing. It's the dream come true. It's amazing getting to travel and do contracts that are very short, learning a show really quickly and hopping in. And if anything, like, I love that even more, to have that short amount of time. It's just like your brain turns on and you're in go mode. But Donkey Show especially was amazing because Allegra Lipinati, who also has directed many shows at Summer Theater of New Canaan, she was the resident director there. So that was pretty amazing after growing up at Summer Theater of New Canaan and doing all of those shows all those years through high school, going to college in Boston, and then throughout my college career doing the Donkey Show and getting to work again with Allegra. I remember we were saying that we were moving to Boston together. It was the same year. So it is pretty amazing, all of these connections and the community that I found growing up, and my introduction to theater at Summer Theater of New Canaan have really stayed throughout my life and my career, which is pretty cool.
So now you're in New York City, where you recently performed, and I'm going to get this right, is it Evie Oddly? Did I get that name?
It is.
Evie Oddly, which is the winner of VH1's RuPaul Drag Race at New York City's World Pride opening ceremony at the Barclays Center. And I'll let you know, I'm actually working my way through the seasons of the show now. It's kind of a guilty pleasure. I watch with one of my daughters. I love the show.
Bob, I did not expect this. I was like, I don't know if he's going to know RuPaul's Drag Race.
Well, you can come back and we can do a show on RuPaul's Drag Race. So.
yeah, completely.
Well, so now all three of you are collaborating on the New Canaan High School production of Oklahoma. Oklahoma, for those watching, was written around 1942, opened in 1943, and it's the first musical written by Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein, which was based on a 1931 play by Lynn Riggs called Green Grow the Lilacs, which had a very short run, but again, fan of trivia, featured a young Lee Strasberg of the method acting fame. So obviously, Rodgers and Hammerstein saw something in the story and adapted it as the highly successful musical we all know every word to, we all know every iteration of over the years. So tell me a little bit about Oklahoma, the musical.
It takes place around two different love triangles, one between a farm girl named Lori and her suitor, this very confident cowboy named Curly, and then this misunderstood farmhand who works on her farm. And then there's a secondary, more comedic love triangle between a couple other characters, Ado Annie, Will Parker, who's just got back from Kansas City, and a traveling salesman. So those are the two main plot lines there. But the cool thing is that we decided to set our Oklahoma modern day. So although it was written in the 40s to take place in the early 1900s, it actually really translates very well to the 21st century.
So you found a timeless element to it?
I was inspired really heavily by the 2019 Broadway revival at Circle in the Square. They set it modern day. They updated the orchestrations to sound a little bit more country and bluegrass and a little honky tonk. And the coolest thing I thought about that was that they did not change a single word.
What did you find different in the text as you started working through it?
Well, two of the big changes we made are that two of our male characters. One, Judd Fry, he is the misunderstood farmhand, and typically and traditionally he's played as this large, brooding, scary, evil, frightening character. And he's really played, I found, so one-dimensional. And what I loved about the Broadway revival was that they cast a much more empathetic character, and he wasn't brooding. He was just a kind of a loner and a little bit misunderstood. And that is the direction that we've gone in with this character of Judd Fry. So hopefully our audience gets a better understanding of who this guy is and where he's coming from, and why the rest of the community of the show, why they view him the way they do, and what causes him to make the decisions he makes. So that was one big change. Our other change is in a comedic character, Ali Hackham. Back in the 40s, he was written as a bit of a Middle Eastern caricature, which we are not doing today, but we are creating him as sort of a hipster traveling salesman. We were trying to figure out how to translate a traveling salesman into today's setting, and actually it was Grace's idea. It was like, why not make him a hipster, like selling his CBD oils and his essential oils and his this, that, and the other thing. And that really works for us and works for the guy that we cast. And our Aunt Eller is not played as a septuagenarian. She's just played as kind of a cool young aunt of Lori, the main character. But otherwise, it's pretty much the same, and that has been really cool. We haven't had to change any lines to make it sound like it takes place today versus 100 years ago.
And the music is so wonderful. And as I said before, we all know all the lyrics. So this is going to be a great sing-along experience, I think, for families at home.
You can sing along because you won't be in the theater. You'll be on your couch. So please sing along.
This is not where the actors are on stage saying, why is everyone in the audience singing with us? Please stop now.
Exactly.
This is really certainly a story of perseverance that you guys have producing this show during a pandemic. And we've been in the world of a pandemic, and yet you have found a way for these students to bring this show to life. Chris, can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, at the high school, bringing these kids together, yet not together. What's been some of the process or the challenges you've had to work through?
Well, it's It's been such a joy. We talk about restrictions and rules and things that we have to abide by, but through it all, it's still just been a joy and a pleasure because the students love it so much and they're willing to do whatever it takes. If it means wearing a mask, taking a break, staying apart, sanitizing every 15 minutes, people having their own individual props and making sure we're not sharing things. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't faze them at all because they're just so happy to be together, to be creating something, and to be exploring a timeless story. So yes, we've had our challenges where rehearsals at one point had to be completely virtual based on the restrictions. We had other times where we were allowed 4 students per room per staff member, still masked 6 feet apart. As things are getting better and hopefully will continue to get better, those have loosened up a little bit. We're still masked, we're still socially distant. That's not going to change anything. But we can now have full cast rehearsals, have everybody on stage. But it's definitely brought its challenges, but it's just such a joyful thing to do for these students and with these students. And I know that it's been a challenge for both Kate and Grace in staging and choreography, because how do you create an atmosphere where it looks like 2 people are falling in love, but they're not allowed to really touch each other or get too close to each other? And how do you...
I did want to ask Grace, how do you choreograph a musical in a pandemic? Talk to us about that.
It's been a challenge, definitely. That's not an understatement to say that.
How she does that, she does it brilliantly. It's amazing.
Oh,
but
thanks, Kate. Thanks. If anything, I feel like, talking a lot about reality shows, but like on Project Runway, when they would give, or any reality show, they give a very tight challenge, you have to do it in this amount of time with this amount of space. You can only use these objects. And I feel like those boundaries have kind of opened up some kind of choreography freedom. I can only work this way. They have to be 6 feet apart. And I just have to say, the kids and the cast is just incredible. It's such an honor working with them and seeing what they can do. It's been amazing. It's tough, but it's been pretty great.
Well, I think we could all agree that if someone came to you and said, I want to do a production of Oklahoma, and the way I see it is everyone masked and 6 feet apart,
right.
that we would, not only would we not hire them, we would see that they were never hired anywhere else probably, right? But here we are, and you and the students, all of you and the students have risen to the occasion. How can we all support the drama students, share in the fun, and be entertained by one of the most endearing musicals in the American canon? Tell us how we can do that.
Well, all of the information for all of our productions, including Oklahoma, you can go to our website, which is www.newcanaanhighschooltheater.com. And that's theater with an R-E rather than an E-R. Go to our website. You can buy tickets. You can make donations. You can become a sponsor and see what's next in our schedule.
Dates and times that we can watch the show.
So Oklahoma will stream live into your living room March 18th, 19th, and 20th. 7 p.m. is showtime. You should be able to log in as early as 6:30 and start seeing that virtual playbill play on a loop. You'll see ads from parents, proud parents, or they like to put up maybe slightly embarrassing pictures of their seniors when they were in kindergarten. You'll see ads from those wonderful sponsors that help us put on these shows and make these opportunities possible for these students.
Well, Kate, Chris, and Grace, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us, your personal stories as well. I urge all of New Canaan to just join in this great fun. We all know the songs, we know all the lyrics, so get the family together for a night of watching and singing along, which we can do. Imagine if we paid $100 a ticket to go see it somewhere we can't sing along. We can sit at home in our living room, watch and sing, and see the theater that we've all been missing out on, and support New Canaan High School drama. So again, Kate, Chris, and Grace, we wish you and the actors and the crew all the best with Oklahoma, and break a leg. Thank you.
Thank you
so much, Bob.
Thank you.